What's up, Wastelanders? How's everybody doing today? I'm doing great, and I hope you are too. It's me, Kiki, and today we've got a video I know a lot of you wonderful folks have been waiting for. It's finally here, the Firewatch Tower build. This one was a blast to work on and is fantastic to live in, so I hope you'll love it as much as I do. And we're trying out something new today, since this place is kind of confusing layout-wise. I've created these little blueprint thingies like the one in the upper right of your screen right now. The gray shows what we've already done, and the white is the step we're currently working on. So these will be popping up throughout the video. Hopefully this makes things a little clearer when you're building this yourself, because this thing is a maze. I live here and I designed the place, and even I get lost sometimes. But to be fair, I did design it to look cobbled together and random, so I guess I did my job. Anyway, do let me know what you think of the new feature. And in case some of you were wondering what the deal was with the performance stage video earlier this week, it also serves as a companion to this build. You'll be seeing the fancy vendor setup from that video in the finished build here. And while we are on the topic of prefabs, yes, I am working on a video with the new shipping containers with all my thoughts on those and some amazing stuff you can do with them. All I will say for now is that they are surprisingly easy to work with, and I'm having a blast with them so far. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. I'm not sure if it will be a shorter Wednesday video or a longer Friday one. It just depends how many weird things I come up with over the weekend with them, but I will be getting that one into your hands next week. So you'll have plenty of time to grab those while they're still in the shop if you decide you need them. Now, before we get into the rest, if you love what I do here and you're interested in helping to support this channel, consider joining our Patreon family. That link is down in the description. Your support means the world to me, so the first 20 patrons will be given Wasteland Legend status and be immortalized forever in the credits of my videos. Also, join us over on Instagram at KikiBPlays. We would love to see you there. First things first, the location. You can build this just about anywhere that you have fairly flat open space, but I picked this spot between Summersville and New Gad where there's this very quirky little shack. If you've been here before, you'll recognize it. There's no forgetting this particular spot. I like building up against a structure like this because it adds some texture to the overall build and gives things a little more character without sacrificing any more budget. So place the camp module down so most of the shack is in your camp radius, and you can add some decor in the shack if you want, but I don't recommend it because enemies spawn in there, so you'll constantly be repairing whatever they break. Now we're going to lay down 3 foundations up against this shack. Start with the one on the right because there are weird snapping issues if you work your way over from the left. Just line it up with the corner of the shack here, leaving a little gap in between, and make sure that you have enough space to snap a wall to it on the shack side before you continue. Now we're going to put a 4th foundation down here temporarily, and we'll be using this as a snapping point for the rest of the structure. Before we go any further though, just pull out your Firewatch Tower real quick and check the height that the base is going to sit at. The ground is a little lumpy, and some of those lumps will force the tower base up a little higher depending on where they're located, so just make sure to raise your foundations up a little bit if you need to, so that they're roughly even with the base of the tower. Now you can go ahead and put that away and we'll move on to the next bit. Now I want a little offset between this next section and the foundation that we just put down, so I'm going to raise this piece up a little bit and move it back slightly. This one foundation that we're using here is temporary and we'll be removing it afterward. So now we can start putting down the foundation that will surround the tower. I left one piece off for now, but it'll go on later, so just follow the blueprint for that part and put down all 7. Now we're going to take a quick break and build up a little structure against the shack here. The goal with this whole build is to make it look as junky and cobbled together and wastelandy as possible, so we're going to be using a lot of height variation and different build sets and mismatched roofs, all of that, to make it look like a sort of shanty town that was built up bit by bit around a tower that was already there. At least that was my original concept, and I think it worked out well. The existing shack here also really helps add to that effect. Anyway, let's finish up this room. In order to get this fence here placed properly, you're going to need to turn off snapping, and then just throw some stairs on and you're done. Now we're going to place the Firewatch Tower, and make sure you pay attention to the orientation of the stairs here. They'll get in the way later, and you'll have to tear down everything around the tower if you want to fix it. Believe me, I know. So get it right the first time. So line it up snugly in the corner of this L shape here, and make sure that the base is raised up just a little higher than the foundations. To check that you got the height right, just make sure that you can place 2 walls. If you can't snap the second one on top, then raise the tower just a tiny bit until you can. You don't want it too high though, or you're going to have trouble walking through the doorways into and out of the tower. So once you've got the correct height, you can place the last few foundations around the tower and finish putting the walls all the way around it. So here's what that's looking like so far. We've got a 4x4 base with the tower in the center, and then a 3x1 structure wedged in between our larger structure and the existing shack. Now this has a 2-story interior in most rooms, but we're going to put up all our walls first before we start putting in stairs, because we all know what a treat it can be trying to put walls around stairs. Right now I'm just using warehouse doorways because it's easier to build in just one set and change the walls to all the different ones later. So I apologize if it's a little unclear where the divisions of the rooms are. It should hopefully be clearer once we've changed the wall types. Now obviously while I'm building this I already have a ridiculously clear idea of exactly what I'm building, which is because I lost my original build footage and had to rebuild this later for the video. You can see some of the structure starting to come together already here. We're going to go ahead and start changing some of the walls now, and you can get a much better idea of where the individual rooms or areas are going to be. Now obviously you can use any walls that you like, but I think the combinations that I eventually settled on are pretty perfectly balanced. There's a lot of variety and texture and a good balance of windows and solid walls. I am using warehouse walls, by the way, to double wall in the interior, but some of these are going to be changed later. But you just can't double wall with the basic wood walls for some reason, so you need to use any other non-atomic shop doorway wall for that. Alright, this is pretty much the final structure from the outside. We're just missing a few roofs that we'll put on in a bit. But we're ready to put in our stairs now. I'm just putting in this one for now, but you can go ahead and do both at this point if you like. It's probably easier. And now we can put in the upper floor. And again, I left a couple of bits off for now, but feel free to just finish up those last 2 floors right now and get that done with. Okay, now it's time to add in a little balcony / overhang thing up here. You can use floors for this if you prefer. I just liked roofs better. So if you go that route, you'll need to take out this 1 floor piece, put in a roof, and then extend the 2 roof pieces outward from there. Then you can just remove that first roof piece inside and put the floor back where it belongs. Now we can pop a porch over here in this little corner. I use the haunted house porches for variation. But if you don't have them, you could use any other porch, or you could construct your own with just foundations and roofs, whatever works for you. Now up above the porch, we've got this open space, which is going to be a really cozy little balcony. So we'll need a couple of flat roofs on top, and then some fencing of some kind around it. Pretty much any fence or even like greenhouse half walls or something would work here. But I personally absolutely love the rusted chain link fences for stuff like this, especially because they somehow sort of make a space feel both enclosed and open and airy at the same time. So yeah. Put your choice of fence in here, and then we're going to hop up onto the roof to add some support pillars for down below. So use your column blueprint to put columns in the center of the roof and on the corner, and then snap the full-size columns below, remove the upper ones when you're done. Of course, this blueprint can be made with another small floor object, like the little Vault Girl statue or something like that, or even a small rug if you don't have the Deathclaw eggs. Now we're just going to finish up the roofs, and I'm going to put in that last staircase, which you may or may not have already done beforehand. Then it's time to change these walls to what we actually want. It's not super important that you do it exactly the way I did, though obviously I think my way is the best. It mainly just matters that you make sure each room has an entrance somewhere and that there are a few doors opening onto the tower and on the exterior. Just keep things patchy and mismatched and it'll look great. Yes, make a mess and it will look nice. That's the wasteland aesthetic. Let's work a little more on this overhang here. We'll want some support pillars underneath, so we're going to pull out our trusty column blueprint again, put one on each corner out here at the end, and then snap a full-size column underneath and then a half column under that so that it reaches down in through the ground. This is looking so great so far. Now I'm going to add in a seedy shed prefab over here so that the overhang is kind of sheltering the doorway of the shed. If you don't have this prefab, I'd just skip this part. And maybe you could make the overhang just one roof long instead of two. I feel like it's a bit awkward looking if it's sticking out that far on its own with nothing else next to it. But anyway, if you're using the shed, line it up really well here and just bring it in nice and tight. Over here, I'm going to be adding in a performance stage to create a vendor area later. Since I covered this one in the last video, pun very much intended. You can go check that out to see how to do this bit. It's a really quick little video if you haven't seen it yet. If you don't have the stage, you could construct your own with foundations and half walls on the back and some columns, or just use a different prefab here if you want. I've personally tried out the mobile home trailer in this spot and it actually looks really great. Okay, we've come really, really far now, and we're almost there, so it's time to put some finishing touches on the place. First, over onto the overhang, we need to put a fence around it. The barbed wire fence looks really nice here. So, just a quick overview of how everything is looking so far. Now, this porch is looking a little sad over here, so we're going to add a railing here as well. I didn't want to use the actual porch railings though, because I felt that would look too nice and fancy. So these basic fences will do really nicely. Just turn off snapping for this bit or they won't place. They are a little tricky to wiggle in there. They've got to be just right. But if you have a little patience, it will work. Okay, now let's magically snap our fingers and do this fender area. I put the link to that video in the description if you haven't already seen it. Alright, let's put some doors in here and stairs at the entrances and all that. Use whatever you like. It doesn't particularly matter, it's really just a matter of taste. In here at the tower base, I added Beckett here, and I'll be doing a quick tutorial on this little trick and how I did this later on, but I feel like that's better as a separate thing, so that it's easier to find later. Now, do a quick check that all your walls are how you want them, and then it's time to decorate. So let's take a look at the finished thing. If you haven't noticed by now, I film a lot of my tours at night because I really love the way everything looks when it's all lit up like this. I added a little silliness over here in the teddy bear hot tub because I felt like this teddy bear scene needed more silliness. I love the little teddy bears that you come across all over the world, so it's kind of fun to add your own touch to them whenever you can. Now starting over here, I turned this little room into a small gym. Now you will probably notice overall that this build is a little less cluttered than some of my others, which really just comes down to the sheer size of the thing. It's really, really big, and budget is limited, so I've done my best to make it feel filled up and lived in, while still trying to spread out that budget over a really, really large area. Just a quick sweep over the outside. I really love the overall look. I'm sure you can spot some of my favorite pieces because there are some things that just fit with almost every build and I use them a lot. Over to the vendor area, I love the overall green look of everything here. Also, when it comes to the performance stage, a lot of objects will try to sink down below the floor level when you place them. But if you just put a small rug down first and then put your object on top, you'll have no problems. That's what I had to do here with the vendors because they wanted to sink down to ground level otherwise. The tree lamp didn't, though, so I don't know, go figure. Heading inside, let's start with the living area. You'll notice that I stuck with naked floors and walls throughout because I felt like that really suited this build so well. Also, I don't think I used any of the really clean furniture anywhere because that just doesn't fit the vibe here.
Alright, let's see. Yep. Pretty well stocked here, and yeah, ready for business.
Upstairs to the balcony here, I really, really love this spot. Like I said in my Atomic Shop Picks video, plants are so key to making a place feel alive. No matter how tight my build budget is, I will always make room for plenty of plants. Now we've got a cute little bedroom and my beloved fish lamp. And in here I've added a little office. I tried to keep all the furnishings as junky and uncoordinated and mismatched as possible. I didn't really want anything to look like it goes together too well. If we head toward the other staircase, this room is pretty simple. I needed a place for an instrument, and this just worked out well.
Okay, let's see. The things I miss about.
And upstairs is a small second bedroom.
Short list.
Now into the tower base. This space kind of felt like a courtyard to me, so that's what I turned it into. It's just a nice little communal space where a wastelander can grab a drink, have a seat, enjoy the greenery and the relative safety of being behind a couple layers of sturdy walls. Also, I personally really hate Beckett's stupid bar, but when I want an NPC, he's usually one of the only ones I can stand, so I use him fairly often, and I always stick this stupid little thing in a wall somewhere because it just looks better. That UFO table is so stinking cute. In here, I've got my crafting area. You'll notice I don't always have power armor stationed in my camps. I don't use power armor, and I don't always have the space for it, especially in some of my smaller builds. So yeah. Okay, let's head up the tower now. Someone had recently asked me about wiring the tower. They were having trouble. This is how I did it. I just put 4 conduits around the middle here and wired them up. Okay, up here I call this the cozy room, and I don't think it's hard to see why. That really just says it all. Over above the fenced-in balcony, I've made a cute sort of little rooftop garden park thing. And down this way I added a couple of planters for my basic starch crops. So there you go, that's my junky little Firewatch settlement. Also, you've got a nice view of New Gad from up here, if nice is the word for it. I don't know. And generally just pretty views all around. That's it from me today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to make sure that you're subscribed and you've turned on channel notifications so you don't miss out on the next absolutely amazing video. If you liked this video and are considering supporting this little channel, check out that Patreon link down below. Join us over on Instagram at KikiBplays. And with that, folks, take care of yourselves, be good to each other, and I will see you in the next video.